Desmond Howard was involved in the program. That's what got me going. And we talked to Des when he came to Ann Arbor for the Rewind event. And I'm pleased to report. That's why I did that whole sort of preview. Pleased to report that I am down even lower now than I was then, thanks to this program. Joining us this morning is the man that they call Magic, Desmond Howard. Des, how you doing?
My man, what's good, Sam? I'm doing fantastic, brother. First of all, it's really good to be with you. It's great to hear your testimonial where you are right now. And I tell you what, I think that you need to understand, like, you inspire me. You know what I mean? Because when I see people who talk about, it wasn't easy, but they jumped on board and they're starting to see progress and they're starting to, just see the changes. Like, that inspires me. It really makes me feel good because, it hopefully someone else will listen to it. You know what I mean? And then they'll be inspired. And they say, okay, well, Sam's doing this and let me try, let me do this. And see where it leads me or where it takes me. So I want you to know, bro, you understand. I'm so happy to be on this radio call with you right now and to hear what you had to say. I just, if you check my IG, I just got through working out. I was had a 7 o'clock and I posted I was on route at 6:28. But anyway, it makes me feel good. This makes me feel better than the workout I just had. So thanks for sharing that, brother. I
Hey,
appreciate
man,
it.
I appreciate that. I felt the same way at that Rewind event that we were at, last month. It was just a tremendous show of how effective this program is and what a great community is. If you want to know more about Rewind, go to joinrewind.com. That's joinrewind.com. Now, the goal for Rewind is to, at some point in the not too distant future, to pack the big house of people who have defeated type 2 diabetes. Now, I'm not a type 2 diabetic, but weight related health issues. So for me, sleep apnea, for instance, this and as they were doing a diagnostic, they said it was like a fatty liver condition. They said you can take care of all of that with weight loss. And now 44 pounds down,
Man,
feeling unbelievable and still rolling,
that's
Not,
right.
not to my goal yet, but I offer that as an example that others can, I think, easily jump in. Like, if we can do it, you certainly can. Go to joinrewind.com/Michigan. Now that you looking back on it, Desmond, what was that event like for you, man? Being back and seeing all of these people, not just taking part in the program, but benefiting from it.
It's man, it was inspirational. It felt fantastic, because I listen to people's testimonials, and these people are just like putting it out there, like, this is where I was. And I listened to, like, I had a guy, Mike told me how it pretty much saved his life. Like, I just happened to listen to you because I knew you were going to be on this broadcast. And when I listened to it, I joined Rewind, and the next thing you know, it reversed his type 2. And like you said, there's so many ailments that you can link directly to obesity or to some sort of weight issue. And if we control that, or if we take control of that, then we can eliminate so many of these ailments that plague our society and our communities. So to be around those people, man, they were just, man, so joyful and so cheerful. And so it was a very gratifying experience for me. It's always great to be in a big house, but I was like a fan. Like, I was a fan of everyone who was involved in Join Rewind and what they had accomplished.
And the other thing, in talking to some of the guys, like Jim Betts was there, and it sounds like this is an initiative in your brotherhood, in your former player brotherhood, Desmond, where you guys are sort of taking this to former players who maybe have had some weight issues post playing career, and this is helping some of those guys too.
100%, Sam. 100%, and it's always great when you can help some of your former players. Guys who former teammates who you used to go to battle with, and those who came before you, and even though who paved the way for you. You have so much respect for those guys, and you want to see them conquer any battle that they're up against. So it's wonderful seeing that the players, the former players, some of my former teammates are involved too.
Yeah, man. So I came out of our last conversation that's thinking like I found I found something no one else knows about. Popcorn with olive oil. And so I'm telling everybody about popcorn with olive oil. Say, man, where you been? Where you been? You didn't know about popcorn with olive oil. I guess I was the only one, Des. I guess I'm the only one who didn't know nothing about it. Like, man. So I still appreciate you enlightening me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You were the person who told me about it. So
there you go. There you go.
This can really work. This can really work. And now that the season is upon us, I wonder if you can kind of take us through your routine, because the travel really picks up for you now. So this is a great lesson, a great example for us in our travels as we're going all across, going different places. How do you prepare to maintain your diet, your dietary habits,
right,
as you go on these different work trips that you have to take, over the course of the football season?
Sam, that's an excellent question, and I start with the simple fact that people have to, and I think you should do this every day, or you should do it on the weekends. It's called meal prep, and you have to meal prep. And I believe that that's the key to staying on course with anything you're trying to accomplish. I want to make sure that your listeners understand that Join Rewind, this is not like some type of this diet or something. Like this is a lifestyle. That's what this is. This is a lifestyle. So we're trying to help you create a lifestyle that's sustainable. Mm-hmm. So back to your question, for me to sustain this lifestyle, it requires meal prep. And I have to make sure that I'm on point with how do I plan my meals. For me, the most important thing are my snacks, because once I get to a location, I can usually find a place that will be able to provide me with the type of foods that I like. I like to try to eat clean. I try to stay away from fried foods and that type of stuff and processed foods. So I try to eat clean. So beforehand, I may look at restaurants in the area before I even get there. But more importantly, snacks. So I make my popcorn with my olive oil and my little seasoning, and I take that in the bag with me. I also make my own trail mix. So I roast my own. It may be almonds, it may be peanuts, some pecans. Then I tell you, one of the most underrated sweeteners out there are raisins. Like raisins are great, and I put raisins in there. And and I make my own trail mix. So like I make sure that I meal prep and I prepare my own snacks and take them with me too. That's how I'm able to stay on point with my meal when I do all this extensive traveling.
Gotcha. So folks, I think Desmond nailed a very important point one of the very important points that I think distinguishes Rewind from the rest. It is not a diet. It's a way of life. It is how your relationship with food,
right?
How you plan your meals, the community that you share this journey with. You are actually on a team. You have support from coaches who are dietitians. I mean, they are trained.
That's right.
Collegiately. These are people that are scholastically way ahead of folks that you may encounter in some of these other programs. And then you get expert doctor and coach support, like from Dr. Amy Rothberg. It does not get any better than Rewind. You may have tried a lot of things before. This is different. Go to joinrewind.com/Michigan. That's joinrewind.com/Michigan. And they even told me they were going over the bars, because I started doing the replacement bars, and I was out on location down in Florida, and I needed to know what's a good bar to
exactly. Yes, sir.
And they went over, man. They already knew the different ways. Is it a meal replacement bar, or is it a protein bar? What brand is it? Quest versus RX? Which one is it? And so talk me through that. That's the kind of support that you can get from Rewind in this journey. And now, folks, 44 pounds. And this was maybe the biggest example, Desmond, because I want to get to talking some football really quickly. But like I said, I went on vacation. I was gone for 10 days. I knew that on vacation, I wanted to indulge in some things. I'm going down to the Gulf Coast. I want to have a po' boy. So I knew that there were some things that I wanted to eat, but I wasn't going to go crazy with it. I knew I was maybe going to pick up a pound or two. Wound up picking up 3.5. I came back home.
Yep.
Jumped right back on the program. Desmond not only lost that 3.5, but then dropped another pound on top of it. Was able to stick with things in a way that even if you veer a little bit off course, it's very easy to snap right back into it. As a matter of fact, it's not even veering off course. You're still following the program.
Right.
You just may be augmenting it a bit, knowing that you're going to have to compensate for it a little bit down the line.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful thing. Another secret snack. I know I told you about this once before, but I want to make sure your listeners get this one too. Are pistachios. Pistachios in a shell. And the reason why I like pistachios in the shell, because it slows down the eating process, because you have to eat it pretty much one at a time. So pistachios in the shell is one of my secret weapons too. I really enjoy those.
All right, Des, I'm taking notes, man. I'm taking notes.
Come on now.
I haven't gotten to the point of preparing my own trail mix, but I do do the popcorn with olive oil. And then I'll try the pistachios in the shell. I'll try that one for sure. But
there you go. That's a winner.
Talking to Desmond Howard this morning, a Rewind ambassador. Go to joinrewind.com/Michigan. If you are any weight-related health issue you've been dealing with, Rewind can help you defeat it. Of course, type 2 diabetes, especially if you're type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic, this can help you reverse the course of those conditions. But football season is upon us. It's actually already, some games are already in the books. Michigan gets underway this week, and already we're starting to hear some things that sort of put us in the mind of what we are to expect. So one of those things that I've been hearing, Desmond, and one of the offensive linemen spoke to it, they think they are going to be a more physical front. They think they are going to be able to run the football better. They think they are going to be able to pound the rock. And one of the offensive linemen said that yesterday. We're going to be physical. We're going to run the football on people. When fans hear that, they think automatically that means any notion of speed and space is gone. It's impossible to be a ground and pound offense while still being able to take advantage of putting your athletes in space. And I'm curious if you think the same thing, because I see teams marry those two concepts all the time.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I see head coaches and offensive coordinators marrying those two if they have the players to do it. I mean, you got to have the personnel to execute it. And the one thing that most offensive coordinators would love to do is to be able to strike fast, because nothing puts fear in the hearts of defensive coordinators more so than a guy who's a home run hitter, whether it's a wide receiver or a running back. I mean, because defenses are always coached to not give up the big play. Like, they're always, on alert for the big play. They don't want to give up the big play. So offensive coordinators, they understand this. They know this. And if you have that type of weapon, you want to make sure that you're able to feature that type of talent. So if they have the personnel that can also, go the distance, whether it's a running back or receiver, it will never just be a ground and pound type of system. They will mix it, they will marry it, like you said, and keep defenses on their heels.
Yeah. The other thing, and you spoke to this, man, about personnel fitting the plan, personnel fitting the scheme. They have a big physical offensive line. Saying that you're going to pound the rock is actually fitting with this personnel, sort of accentuating its positives. On the flip side of the ball, I know you talked about this a lot. They didn't have press man corners, so they are not. That is not as much in their DNA now. We heard Vincent Gray, one of the corners, talk about yesterday. He said, we are in this defense, at least in practice, the way we play puts us in position to make more plays on the ball, which seems to be in keeping with what you were talking about when you were here.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. And that's what a good defensive coordinator what he has to do. And obviously, this is the first year for the defensive coordinator that they got from the Ravens, McDonald. So I think that Mike McDonald has to, first evaluate the personnel. But like you said, the players say put them in a position to succeed, put them in a position where they're comfortable and that they can do things, on a positive note, as opposed to like getting beat out there like we saw a year ago. So that's, and it's going to take time. It's going to take a minute because as an evaluator of talent, which is what the defensive coordinator is, and his staff too. Don't forget, you got like pretty much a whole new defensive staff too. They have to see it when the bullets are live, meaning they have to see it when the games are real. Practice is one thing, but then this Western Michigan game is going to really give them an opportunity to see how guys react in real time, in real action. So I'm really curious to see what type of scheme they come out with against Western Michigan, but even more importantly, how these guys respond as far as the players, how they respond. You want to see, I tell you, this is the thing to look for, Sam. You want to make sure that guys are not out of position and that guys are making fundamental tackles, especially in space. That's what I want to see.
I got you. All right. So I mentioned, Des, that there were some games, Nebraska and Illinois. And I'm curious, what were your takeaways from that game? Brett Bielema winning his first game, Scott Frost saying it, it looks like the same old movie for us out there. What did you see in that
game? Yeah, that one surprised me because I really thought, because I don't know if your listeners are aware of this, but Scott Frost is under investigation right now too. So they're under investigation in Nebraska for allegedly practicing in some sort of illegal manner during COVID a year ago. So they're under investigation. Obviously, he's pretty much kind of on the hot seat. So I assume that his players are going to rally around him and go out there and fight, and just really fight for Scott Frost and have a better showing. I was really surprised at how bad, how unprepared, just how disinterested they looked and they played. I mean, it's one thing to lose a game, but you're like, okay, we gave a great effort and it was, we understand where we are as the first game, but the mistakes that they made, the way that they looked, and don't forget, not only is this Brett Bielema's first game as a head coach for Illinois, but he also won that game with a backup because his starting quarterback went out with an injury. So, I mean, it seemed like Illinois had pretty much everything against. This is a team that won 2 games a year ago. And, man, Nebraska, that was for Cornhusker fans, that was a very embarrassing display of football. And I don't know what's going to happen with Scott Frost because at this point, they have the new AD, Albertson. He said, Trev Albertson, I think, he made a comment when asked about Scott Frost playing for his job. He didn't say yes or no. He just kind of talked around it. And then after last Saturday's debacle, I don't know what the future holds for the Nebraska Cornhuskers football program and for Scott Frost.
Hey, was this the first time for College Game Day to be at a HBCU?
No, we actually went to the HBCU years ago and actually had to do it indoors because of lightning. But it was I believe the game was Southern versus someone else. I forget, but yeah, it was. So we've been there before.
What was that like, man? What was the vibe like? What was the experience like?
It was cool. I think because we're coming off of the pandemic as far as what we experienced, and not that the pandemic is over, but coming off of what we experienced with the pandemic a year ago, we had no fans, no signs, no band, no cheerleader, none of that stuff. Coming off of that, it just felt good to have people around and have that sort of energy to support the show.
All right. So last couple, because we got to let you go. You're Clemson, Georgia. Tell me something about Clemson, Georgia, because I haven't picked this game yet. You got a couple of quarterbacks that were big time talents coming out of high school. JT Daniels sort of took the reins as the season got underway last year. DJ Uiagalelei was able to take over Trevor Lawrence for a little while last year. These guys doing battle. Tell me a little bit about that matchup that you guys are going to see.
Well, you start this with the quarterbacks, and when you look at Georgia, Georgia's a team that a lot of the pundits are high on coming to the 2021 season. And JT Daniels, like you said, he ended up taking over the offense at the end of the season. And the 4 games that he played, the offense averaged 8 more points a game, over 100 yards a game, over 100 yards more a game, and they converted third downs at a clip of 53%, where before he was a starting quarterback, they only converted third downs at a clip of 42%. So he was a real difference maker. What he brings is experience. I know he only played 4 games for Georgia, but he also played at USC too before he got injured and then eventually transferred to Georgia. So he's a guy with a lot of games under his belt. He's going to keep them on schedule as an offense, get them out of any bad plays, throws with relative accuracy, has a lot of trust in his arm. And he's a guy who, like I said, it was like the offense was like night and day when he took over. DJ, the quarterback for Clemson, young, 5-star, played 2 games, started 2 games a year ago. Won the game against Boston College, lost in a couple of overtimes in Notre Dame, but he's a big kid, surprisingly athletic for his size, strong arm, comes in with a bunch of hype, so he believes in his abilities. And you look at Dabo and what they're going to do offensively, they're going to make sure that they keep him in manageable situations early, and then try to see if they're going to be able to cut loose. Watch Georgia's defense. I'll keep an eye on Georgia's defense and how much they pressure DJ, because last year he didn't respond to pressure extremely well. And I think that's one thing that Georgia's going to try to do. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't man up on the outside, even though Clemson's bringing back one of their stud receivers, Justin Ross. I still expect Georgia to have the confidence in their secondary, especially their cornerbacks, to man up at times and then try to bring pressure.
Yeah. Well, Des, I mean, look, you got dietary advice. I know you know ball. I think you do great game previews. You can also spot talent. This is my last one for you. A friend of mine called me up last year and he said, Sam, I want you to look out for this kid. He's going to be a big time guy. And he said, don't just take my word for it. He said, man, Desmond thinks he's going to be a big time guy too. He's mentoring him. He said, man, he's just a 3-star kid now, but he's going to be a big time guy. That kid's name is Jaylen Brown. We went to see Jaylen Brown week 1. And when I say he put on a show, Des,
yeah,
I think it was like 7 catches, 200 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He was fantastic. So
yeah.
I got to say, Des, you can spot him in high school too, bro.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, Jaylen's an outstanding young talent, man. And I think he's still just scratching the surface, man. But I'm glad you got a chance to lay eyes on him early, because he's a special young talent. If he stays the course, he's going to be doing some big things real soon.
All right. Well, Des, thanks a lot for your time. Appreciate your ambassadorship for Rewind. Truly made a difference, truly made a difference for me. It was part of getting me to get on board. And I know it's the same for others out there. Folks, for more information on Rewind, go to joinrewind.com. If you've had weight-related health issues, this can help you reverse that course, get you with proper eating habits, proper doctor and trainer support, a community that will be behind you and helping you in your weight loss journey. It does not get any better than Rewind. Go to joinrewind.com/Michigan. Des, I appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot for your time.
Man, no, thank you, man. Hey, keep up the great work, man. You one of the best out there, brother. It's always a pleasure to be on here with you.
All right, thanks a lot. That's Desmond Howard.